Well, hello, world. I'm here
Hello.
with the writer, director, producer, actor of The Best Gift in Life is Life Itself. I hope you guys enjoyed this short film. It's The Best Gift in Life is a wonderful short film. Um, Exceptional writing, moving performances, heart gripping story that deals with trauma and overcoming depression. Um, it's not only an entertaining and emotionally gripping project. But in my beliefs, I think a lot of people are going to relate to this as the subject matter hits home. Grief. Powerful, powerful stuff. Um, Mauricio, if you want to just tell us, you know, how you're involved with this project, how you got involved with this project, originated.
Totally. Yeah. And thank you so much for inviting me, by the way. I am very humble and thrilled by this. And also, once again, want to congratulate you on this amazing film festival that is so much needed on the East Coast, which is where I'm from.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah. So the best gift in life is life itself. And I always try not to go too deep into this simply because it's very personal. Um, it's actually a symbolic story. It's something that I actually went through. I it took me almost 2 years to finally, say I'm going to go ahead and do this. It was a hard decision, and the reason for that is because a lot of people are going through this, and technically, it's extremely hard for you to tell a story uh, without fearing what the outcome is going to be from everyone else. So I wanted to write something that would make at least every individual realize that they can relate to this, and that it's okay to face it. It's okay to sometimes talk about it, and I believe that that's the overcoming of this situation starts to take place.
Wow. So when you wrote this project and it's a personal project to you, did you feel like writing it almost was like a therapeutic journey in any sort of way?
It was because I was going downhill,
Yeah.
both with what I was going through, or still go through, because we go through this, our entire life. Um, I've always say, that the depression is something that we need to think of as if you're part of AA. You know what I mean? Where another day is another progress. So writing it, yes, it actually became therapeutic. It also again developed into another problem, which was how do I do this? How do I bring this out? How do I get
Yeah.
myself to play this? Because uh, even though it's a film that I wrote, even though it's a story that I created based on something very personal, it's it's extremely hard to deliver,
Hmm.
because you have to understand that you are delivering for the character that you wrote, and not the character and not the individual that you are that is going through what you're going through. So those things were a bit of a challenge. But then again, as fellow actors, and you will totally understand this. This is what we live for, and this is what we do for a living. This is what we. It's the challenge of becoming, a character, and being able to bring it. So.
It's very interesting that you brought it up. It's like you're reading my mind.
Mhm.
Because you have a very unique perspective, and I actually have similar perspective when it comes to being a director, writer, and then acting in the films I produce.
Yeah.
What do you find to be the most challenging part? Because you're balancing all these elements, and I've heard it from so many people before. You can't be a master of all, or you should just
Mhm.
choose one. And
Yeah.
then one of the things I don't do is I won't edit the
Right.
projects I do, because I feel like the editor is that outside person that kind of monitors you from yourself.
Yeah.
But how do you balance it all, and what do you find the biggest challenge to be with
So
this?
here's the funny thing, man, and I'm so glad that you bring in this, and it looks like we're both reading each other. Um, so I was the master. I wanted to be in charge of everything. All right. I mean, I wrote and directed a few films back in New York. I was born in the Dominican Republic, by the way, but I am a New Yorker. I basically lived pretty much my entire adult life in New York City before I moved to LA. And the way we are brought up in New York on the East Coast, I should say, is that we know that we need to be able to transform ourselves into octopus one way or the other when we know that we're capable of. That could be, I would say, a double sword, a double-edged sword. And so it's something that I had to deal with. And it was not until I came to LA that I realized that you can't do everything, right? You cannot. One thing you can do is you can be a team player, leader, and I said the word team player and then leader in order to delegate. Because once you have, and I really, really, really want to praise, first of all, my DP. His name is Josh Wardell, who was able from day one to see my vision. I am I am not the best at explaining what I want. I am horrible at it, and so it took me to go through a few teams uh, uh, in order to find this individual, and he became my eyes, and then he was my editor, Austin Ziprick, who, dude, this what this guy did with this film next to me, it's beyond. I mean, something we will probably talk about more later or throughout, in other film festivals or when we, get to see each other. Um, but it was that team that
Mhm.
allowed me to say you have to let go. You have the people who are going to be able to do everything that's in your head because it's all in your head, and it's
Yeah.
extremely hard to let it go, especially when you're writing, producing, directing, and then you're the lead actor. You know. And by the way, to everyone out there who wants to do it, go ahead and do it. It's not impossible. All
No.
right. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing, but all it takes is commitment. And then finding an amazing team that will understand you and will be with you. And don't think that you can be in charge of everything without thinking that you can be a team and then a leader. That's the best way I can describe that.
I absolutely agree with you. There's been a lot, and even myself at times, when you write something, you're really passionate about your vision and you want to see it through by all means necessary. And sometimes we'll take, they always say independent productions, everybody wears multiple hats. And I
Yeah.
I go with the same feeling. But at the time, that whole thing with you got to let it go,
Mhm.
I'm not the master of everything. And you need to have those professionals on board to help craft your vision. If it wasn't for the team I've worked with over the years, my projects would probably still be on the editing room floor somewhere with me pulling whatever hair I got left out.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot. It is a
Yeah.
lot to balance. But and that's another question too, because you were saying it before. You took on the lead role. Now, when you originally were doing the casting process for this film, did you always know I got to play this part? There's something about this role I have to participate in.
It was a responsibility. I I didn't see anyone else doing it, and not because I wanted to do it because I'm an actor, because that was my number one fear. My biggest fear was I have to do this.
Mhm.
I have to do this. It's not Mauricio, obviously, it's Antonio, but I have to do this because this man has to really show the world what he's going through. And so that was the idea from day one. I would have not given it to anyone else. And again, it has nothing to do with the fact I know that any other actor could have done an amazing job, or even better job, because you have to be very humble and honest. But it was my responsibility to do that. And I'm going to go even further. The gentleman who plays my co-star, his name is Timothy R. Hoffman. He's my manager at work. All right. I was trying to cast someone for 6 months, not holding casting or nothing, but thinking about who could do it. And let me just tell you in a very short sentence what happens with us. One day, after working together for so many months, and he's a writer, he's an amazing writer and special effects and all that. The elevator door opens and I see him. And as soon as I saw his smile, I said to him, "It's you." And he looks at me. He goes like, "Yeah, it's me." And I said, "No, you don't get it." And the rest is history. But yeah, when it came to the lead role, it was always my responsibility because again, it's something that I went through and something that I had to communicate in an entirely different way, and I needed
Mhm.
to allow this character to really embody me. And so that's how we got it done.
Yeah, that's incredible. And going on to the fact of your co-star,
Mhm.
There was something about his smirk.
Yeah,
I didn't quite trust it in the beginning.
yeah,
I'm like, who is this guy? Is this going to be like a home invasion film?
yeah,
Like, dude, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like some of the viewers wrote it too, because I could see the notes from a lot of the viewers, and they were
yeah,
like, question mark, what's going on here? Why does it, you know, it's the beginning of every horror film. Can I use
yeah,
the bathroom?
yeah.
You know, but
Well,
it became something entirely different, which I
yeah.
was pleasantly surprised.
And it's funny that you say that, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but there's I'm not gonna say his name. I'm going to reserve that. But there's this huge director who directs for Disney here in LA, who from day one wanted to be a part of it without knowing anything. And obviously, I didn't let him be a part of anything because, I wanted his honest opinion. And when he first saw the film, he said to me, "Why did you open the door? Why did your character open the door?" And it took for me to obviously, and it's because of the same reason why everyone else is asking. And it's for me to, the answer is very simple. What do you have to lose? You already lost everything.
Yeah.
Maybe if I open the door, I mean, again, this is one of the many different things that could happen to the character at that moment where he's like, if I open the door and I get shot, you just did my job. See what I mean? So there's so many things. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I would like to tell you about, and it's funny because I share that with my editor, is that it took my editor to completely finish the film to understand what I said to him in the beginning. And I said, Austin, I want you to know that this film is connected from the very beginning to the very end. And only those who pay close attention to what's going on, because there's a reason why there's so many pacing. There's a reason why there's so many looks. And it's because sometimes your eyes can tell stories
Hmm.
and your face can only add a little to it. So it took for him to finish the editing to say, "Holy crap, dude! This is like I see the connection," you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's part of it. And again, one quick thing is also this film was also, and it's just the way I write and the way I shoot. I really like people to question things. My fear is
Yeah.
always people questioning and then go, like people say like, "Well, why this? I'm not interested anymore." But all I've been getting, thank God, is, well, why this? I want to know more, And so that's what
Yeah, I
that's
found it
what it does.
interesting too, and I think it was really refreshing at points when you have this really heavy subject matter. It's almost like I I don't want to throw out famous directors, but you see like films like Darren Aronofsky. He
Yes,
has films that like go to areas of depression that they're almost like they never recover. They just keep on going. But there's a moment, even when you first meet your co-star behind the door and you slam the door in his face, where I remember screeners just bursting out in laughter. It was the reaction of like,
yeah,
even in like our lowest points in life, like, oh, fuck it type shit.
yeah.
There's a bit of like, I don't want to say light at the end of the tunnel, but like
Mhm.
laughing in misery.
All right, Charles, you just said something. You just said something that completely blew me away. Um, and I don't want to give it away because I don't know if this Q&A is going to be after or if it's
It
going to be
is, yeah.
before. It is. Okay. So I'm going to tell you this. You just pinpoint the one thing, and I'm going to tell you where. Um, but when you said it's almost as if it's light at the end of the tunnel. So obviously, when he opens up the door and he closes it, it's simply because of that. Oh, this is this is the same horse shit. This dude over here, I'll lock the door. Let me go and take care of what I need to take care of. And then this dude walks in, and the first thing that he notices, because obviously we all know now who he is, although Antonio doesn't know at the time, is that paint that you see with that little dot in the middle. That's the meaning of what you just said, believe it or not. And I
Wow.
want you to know that I painted everything because I am also a painter, and I paint based on how I feel. That paint has another story.
It's funny. It's like I was gonna ask. That was one of the questions I was going to ask is regarding who did the painting of your films.
Yeah.
I always like, when it comes to stuff like that with set design or like little props, I always have someone else work on it. And I also doodle with paint, and I do a lot of abstract. Like I don't know what it is, emotional splatter art.
Yeah,
I actually
that's
do
me.
like paint and sips, or
Hmm.
like barbecues we'll do in the summertime, and like all my friends will just whip stuff at the canvas.
Hmm.
My living room right now, there's actually a picture that we posted on the Catskill International Film Festival page where you see a scarecrow and me
Yeah.
holding up the Halloween basket. All
Hmm.
those paintings in the background are like splatter art that I did, but it's all like whatever I'm feeling in the emotion of the music
Hmm.
or in that moment is how it comes out. And some of those look really like layers and layers of running paint. And I was wondering too, because your main the main dark painting that you did, that's actually on your poster that almost has like a question mark on it.
Yeah.
Um, what was the original concept of that? Like when you were doing that, was that something you made prior to the project? You're like, I need to make this art for this.
So one of my best friends' daughter is going to be there that night. I want to make sure that I introduce you to her because you hit the nail. He passed away.
Oh,
When my friend passed away and I found out, it was 11:30 New York time when she called me to let me know. But I had already been thinking about my friend all day. Um, I would say the most wonderful human being you'll ever meet, the warmest individual, and the wrongest uh, time for someone to leave this earth. And it hits me. It hit me so hard at 11:30 p.m. I'll never forget. I was sitting in the toilet. I no shame on that. And she gave me the news, and I had to get off the phone, obviously, because she had things to do. And I also, my level of depression really, really, really hit bottom. And I didn't. I It was not a plan. It was nothing. I just grabbed that canvas and I just put it on my easel, and I just started painting and bringing layers and layers and layers and layers. And to me, that was the frustration, the anger. I had not spoken to my friend in almost a year, and had I known that, I would have talked to him every single day. And he died. He died of a stroke. So it's not something that anyone knew. Um, so when it came time to me to shoot the film, um, when I wrote it, I really wanted to bring my art into it because my art is what really expresses how I feel. I mean, there are paintings that you didn't see in the film that if I show them to you, you go like, "What the hell is this?" And obviously,
yeah.
you as a painter, you will be able to see. And there are a lot of people who are able to read, but I write on emotions. I don't, and I also paint on emotions. I don't paint every day. I come home one day, I feel something, and I paint it, and then what comes out of it, that's what it is. So when it came time to shoot the film, I wanted to make sure that I wrote that in. And then what I did is I added that question mark. And what that question mark means, obviously, is there really light at the end of a tunnel? Because there's that white dot in the middle. And I didn't want to show any of this to anyone. The only one that knew about this whole thing was my DP, and it's because he fell in love with the script so much that he says, I want to come to your place as many times as we can. We had a set designer that was going to do this, and then at the very last minute I said, I am going to go ahead and pay you, but I want to do it, and I just want to call you and show you. And when I did it, I called the next day and I said, let me know how much it is. And I showed her around. She says, nothing. I am so inspired by what you did. So I was able to place each paint where it needed to go. And
Wow.
that's pretty much how it was. Yeah.
That's a that's a whole a lot of people out there watching that don't know anything about filmmaking. They don't realize when you watch a movie, a short film, a feature length film, it's very, the emotional connect you have from the environment is extremely powerful. And I'll get into that. And there's another thing you see, like, for example, there's moments where your character, your reaction, and even your co-star, where you guys are just staring at each other. But the thing that's in focus is the art around you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shots that I see in the film. They're like two shots where there are wide two shot where you two characters are distant, and the only thing between you is the window,
Yeah.
and it's this big blank space between you,
Hmm.
and it almost feels jarring
Yeah.
because on the edge of both of you there's like art hanging on the
Hmm.
walls, and you could tell that the cinematography was very in touch with what you wanted, because
Yeah.
when I was watching I was like, there's a big separation here, a blankness that is encapsulating the shot, and
Yeah.
it's and like as the project progresses, there's more intimate shots. They're closer. They're more like trusting, and I guess it's a really great cinematographer you guys use, and the set design. These two collaborations of art coming, and the editor, of course, too.
Mhm.
And yeah, I know I'm speaking a lot here, but
No. You're making, because you're
the
basically saying everything that I was going to say, just even better.
yeah,
I mean, coming from an outsider who was not here, I mean, to me that explains the reason why it took us as much work as it took in my head, and then it took what it took in order for me to find an individual who sat down. And the first thing I said is, I want to shoot this as a '90s film or an '80s film. I really want this to be. I don't want this to be the 4K type of thing right now. I really want this to have some sort of history to it.
mhm.
Even though we're in the 2000s, in the 2020s something, I still want to be able to go back. And I'll never forget. He said, "Let me show you this," and he showed me a shot of still magnolias, and I said, "That's what I want." So from the second that I opened my mouth with this individual, he knew. And as soon as I told him, and I didn't even explain why I wanted the shots that I wanted, but every shot that I wanted had a meaning. And let me just tell you quick, I promised myself that I was not going to talk about this, but I have to now because you have pushed me there. The reason why I wrote this is because I lost my cats. All right, I lost
Oh,
one of my cats, and I'm going to try not to get emotional. But I lost one of my cats, Emma. That's why you see Emma and Emmy, and that's why you don't see Emma and Emmy in the end, because it's going to be way too painful for me to see that over and over and over again. When for Emma and Emmy, Daddy loves you, all that is just too much to carry. But I lost them, and the paint, the black paint that you see there, and then my daughter's paint, which is the little girl that played my daughter, who did an amazing job. That's where they both passed away. My DP
wow.
didn't know that, and it's not until I told him in the end, and my editor, that they were, holy, no wonder, because we were trying to figure out why it meant so much to you. Why did you want that shot? Like, there's a shot when he's singing in the shower. Well, not in the shower, but in the bathroom. Where he starts singing, and then, which, by the way, I wrote that little thing, that little jingle, if you want to. And then you see the camera slide. And this is why it's so important for you as a leader to be able to let other team players come in, because I told my editor, first I told my DP not to start with the black, which is my kitty cat, but rather to come a little. And he didn't listen to me. He said, "Let me try this." And when he did it, I said, "I have to let this go because he sees even what I'm not explaining to him." And the shot came out so much better. So
Yeah.
it's just a combination of things that only happen when a group of people believe in you, because that's the first thing they did. They all believe in me. And let me just tell you something rather quick. The guy who was the gaffer, he's one of the biggest directors right now of music videos in LA, and he
Wow.
came and did that. The guy who did the sound, Jay Z, an amazing filmmaker, and that's one of the reasons why I hired this guy, because of the film they did together. So, I mean, it took for people who are, and I'm very humbled to say, in a way, higher position in here in LA, to say, I love this so much that I want to come and do whatever I can. So
That's very inspirational what you're saying,
yeah,
because a lot of people out there don't realize how obtainable it can be. A lot of people are fearful,
yeah,
of status in this industry.
yeah,
They're terrified to work with someone that has more experience or more money than them, or like, this guy's so popular. I hear it all the time. Like,
yeah,
people are afraid to work with talent a lot of times because they're afraid of their shine being pulled from them.
yeah.
But if at the end of the day the product comes out better, and then more people get visibility on the thing, I think that's a win-win.
I was
So
I was blown away by the fact that people who had just read the script, who, and I'm not bragging when I say, literally stopped doing what they were doing, making tons of money, to just come and make no money, simply because they love the script so much. I mean, to me, that's mind blowing. Number one. Number two, to come in and work with you the whole day and not say a word, and then wait until the end of the day to tell you those things, because they fear that if they said something to you, it was going to involve some sort of emotion. So, yeah, no one, and by me saying this, it's not going to stop anyone from being afraid, because I'm still very nervous of working with people. And I don't want to brag, but I show my film. I can't say her name because she told me not to, but I showed the film a couple days ago to one of the biggest producers here in Hollywood, and I If I show you what she wrote, first of all, it was a big wow, and then you get the key for directing, and you get the key for the acting. And again, it's not the compliment that you get from these people; it's that they get to see the effort that you went through. Because you have millions of dollar films, and then you have micro budgets, no money, like which is what I did. But if you treat it with the same amount of respect and the same fear that if you don't do this right, then you have another problem. You know what I mean? Because people will complain, people will say whatever they have to say. You'll get a lot of compliments, but you also get a lot of people will say that. So you have to live with that. But if any of those come in because you took it even more seriously and because you feared and because at times you were like, I don't know if I can do this, that's where you wind up doing those things, whether you have millions of dollars or whether you have hundreds of dollars, which is what I have
Mhm.
at the moment. So
It's very true. I mean, fear stops people in their tracks, and the all the stuff in their head never gets put down on paper. And beyond that, it never becomes a film. There's so many filmmakers out there that their films get put in the can, and then it ends there.
yeah,
And that's one thing I got to say, regardless of how this festival goes for you, which I'm pretty sure it's going to go very positive places, and all the other festivals that you have in the future. The idea that you finished what you started is the most important part, and that people are giving you the feedback, and you being a director and a creator of any sort, there's a power to it. In a way, you're able to manipulate and possibly control people's emotions through your work. And even if it's sadness, even if there's some bit of drama and chaos in your project, you're enticing something that makes them feel, you know brings them something. They can reminisce, they can be brought to a different time. And that's what I think the power of filmmaking is. And I think a lot of more people need to take chances. And that I have conversations every film festival or mixer I do with people like, how do I get started and what do I do? And then, like, you tell them, like, listen, if you have a cell phone in 2023, you can make magic happen. I see it film after film that gets submitted. You don't always need the red or the black magic or whatever, Alexa, whatever out there. You don't need that.
mhm.
It's nice, but you don't need it. You just need an idea, and got to be willing to take chances and to listen. And like you said before, have teamwork. Um,
The most important thing.
I
But to
mean,
listen is even the more important thing, because when you listen, you're not just listening to what you're telling yourself that you have to do, but you're also giving other people the opportunity to talk to you and then
mhm.
consider. You're not always going to agree. You're not always going to say yes, but you will consider, and that's the key.
Yeah, you got to
Just
have
like
an open mind. Like, in this process, I mean, it's been a long process. I remember you telling me it was like would you say about 2 years from initiation to post production?
it was 2 years for me to yeah. Once we shot this on April 28th of this year, but I was walking around in this apartment trying to figure out if it was right for me to do this because it meant so much to me. Number one, and number two, because of the character itself. It
So,
was crazy.
and that's what it is too, the dedication to get the project done.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight, for
No,
anyone, unless you
no.
have a lot of money to throw at it and have a lot of people doing it. But even then,
But if you have a lot of money and then you just want to do it right away to get it over with, then you're gonna do a piece of shit. That's my honest opinion, my humble opinion. Because if I may tell you this, when my editor started editing the film, he got busy, and
yeah,
I had a timeline because I really needed to start submitting to film festivals. But let me tell you something. It's that gap where he had to go and do other jobs and then not talk to me for a week, and then obviously me holding on to and say, ah, shit, I got to get this done. But that's what brought the best out of this film, because as he was away, he was thinking of things, and as he was away, I was thinking of things. Even the ending of this film was supposed to, let me just put it to you this way, we reversed it. All right. And it was all an idea where he was like, hey, Mauricio, would it be best if we do this? And I'm driving to Venice. And as I'm driving to Venice, I'm seeing the sky. and then I come up with another idea. So that combination of things, and I'm talking about 2 months after the film was supposed to be ready. And
Well,
then, so sometimes, yeah, that's what it is. You need to hold back and just let things run, because even when you think that all the ideas are there, something could happen.
oh,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's so relatable. I'm enjoying this conversation. You're hitting some points. It's funny because my film Mantra, that's actually also premiering opening night. Uh, One of the big things about Mantra from my editor,
mhm,
the editing, this movie's got a lot of twists and turns and different concepts and ideas that I wanted to throw stuff against the wall and see what stuck.
right,
And there was a lot of decisions that I came to by sitting back and looking at the film. She literally paused post production for a few weeks, and she was like, "Before we, finalize this draft, I need you to we need to like decide some of the decisions. Think about certain scenes and like the way they're edited and how she showed me different versions of them and whatnot. And it was like, I had my mind made up. You know what I mean? I had
yeah,
everything in my mind made up originally, and I was kind of argumentative and it's my way or the highway.
yeah,
But in those moments of her just, you should take a look at this and think about it. And I did. And it ultimately, we came to an understanding, and we made things. The movie's outcome is entirely different than what I originally intended, because I stood there and I gave it a moment. I took a deep breath. And a lot of filmmakers out there, they have an idea, and I'm not saying this is a right or wrong way to do it, but I in the past I've made this mistake where I've jumped the gun on an idea. I thought that I was like the most original idea ever, and then like after I finished it and I'm like seeing the movie premiere, I'm sitting there like, man, I really should have trimmed this scene, or
yeah.
you know this is one line too long, like, because we're writers, we don't want to cut
Yeah.
our dialogue, we don't
No,
want to cut,
no, and
but
it's
we
and it's funny.
sometimes have to.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because even his girlfriend, who was not part of the film, but now is, because of that little comment that she made. Because we wanted to make it, and the film is still a little too long for, because we wanted to submit to Cannes. Cannes won't accept anything above 50 minutes. Mine is 1541. I will not be submitted to Cannes because I'm not going to make any more changes. But the film was 60 minutes and change. And there was a
Wow.
scene that I was trying to figure out how to do it. And all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, I just want you to know, I'm sorry. I showed it to my girl, and she said the maybe what we need to do is cut this." And I was like, "No, we're not." And I get in my car. This is what I do, because I'm learning. You need to breathe. And as I'm driving, I'm like, "What is so wrong?" I got an editor who will be able to comp this and figure a way to make this work. I called back and I said, "You know what? Tell your girlfriend thank you so much. She's a part of the team already, and go ahead and do it." And
Wow.
and I said, "But what are you gonna do?" He goes like, "Give me a minute. I'll come up with something." He did. We cut 45 seconds, so we're 30 between 36 and 45 seconds of the film, and it worked. I was in your position, like you were, many times, especially back home in New York. We don't do this out of ego. We do it out of fear. We have a major responsibility. At least that's the way I look at it. Because I'm not. I don't know if I'm going to have an ego 10 years from now, and I really hope not. I hope I trip and I don't know, bite my tongue so that I can never say shit again, because the ego thing. But the one thing I have learned is that back in the day when I used to be the way I was, where I wanted to be in control of everything, it had nothing to do with ego. It had to do with the fear and responsibility of delivering something.
Hmm.
That hasn't changed. But what I do now is I sit down and I breathe. But before I breathe, I listen, because
That's it.
everyone's opinion is very important. And like I said, if you're first a team player, and then you're a leader, that's better. In my humble opinion, it has worked.
I
And I
definitely
owe
agree.
Yeah, and I owe everything to my team. Everyone had their hats, and they were extremely well, and that's the reason why we have the film that we have.
One of the toughest things ever is when you have something that works and you are trimming stuff out of the film, and there's some wonderful performances that get trimmed or even cut for the overall of the production.
Yeah,
um, you know People don't realize that pacing is extremely important in a project. 2 minutes too long can ruin something.
yeah,
Like 30 seconds could ruin a scene. And a lot of times, really wonderful stuff, to us
Mhm.
has to go in order to progress the story. And I think this film, the way it is, I would enjoy, we're talking about pacing, but I would enjoy, you know, the best gift in life is life itself as a feature. You know, I think there's more to the story that we're not seeing, but yet again, it's enough to sell exactly what we need to learn and
Well, there
what we
is,
need to see.
yeah. The feature is in the making. The script is
Wow.
I was it was the idea, but I was also pushed to do it. Um, Candy Clark, the Oscar nominated for American Graffiti.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, she's a great friend through my executive producer, and when she saw the film, that was the first thing she said. She looked at me and she says, "You better write a feature out of this, or I'm gonna kill you."
I
She said it.
I definitely, like I said,
Yeah,
when I first, it
yeah,
has the feel of a
yeah,
feature.
yeah.
Like I've seen major motion pictures attempt to do what you accomplish in 15 minutes and
Yeah,
40 something seconds and not hit the point
yeah.
of what this did. There was actually a film that reminded me, it's not nearly like this, but there was a film with Tom Hanks that came out, which was similar about grief and stuff. You guys did it better. But
Thank you.
I wasn't I wasn't feeling what I think it was something about Otto or whatever.
Oh yeah,
But either
Marinaro or something
way,
like that. Yeah,
I'm not saying it's anything related, but there was
mhm,
moments where I felt the resemblance.
right.
And I think it was something to do with the cinematography. When I go back to a little bit,
Mhm,
there was a decision that I feel like you had something to do with. Um, well, definitely had something to do with the cinematography. You guys worked in great correlation with one another. There was the idea of using freehand, where as an audience member,
mhm.
I feel like I might be that lost family member in the room watching from beyond
Yeah.
throughout the entire film, because it is clearly a choice. You could have put that on a tripod, you
Mhm.
know, it is a choice. And I want to get into that. Like, why was that choice made to
I am so
have that?
glad that you asked that question. I didn't even know we were going to talk about this. Um, so it all started with a script. Like everyone who read the script thought that this was going to be a 5 or 6 minute short. They it was not until I told everybody this is a standoffish situation. There's a lot of pacing. There's a lot of back and forth. This is what's going to make the film. There is a connection in every single movement that his eyes, Antonio's and Peter's eyes, are going to make. And so even after I explained that to my DP, he was like, "Okay, so I'm going to come up and I'm going to figure out where we're going to put the tripod because I think it's going to be better. It's a standoff. It's going to take time." And I said, "No." I said, "We're not doing this on a tripod. I want the audience to literally walk with us. And the only way they're going to be able to do this is if there's that movement. You know, you have to understand. I shot this on a Blackmagic 6K Pro. No image stabilization. And there's a reason why I purchased that camera. I bought that camera for this film a year and a half ago. So you see,
It's a
I've been
great
preparing
camera.
myself. Oh, it's an amazing camera. So I've been preparing myself. I bought the camera. I bought the cinema lenses. I did the whole thing just for this film. And when I told him that, again, God bless him. I love him with all my heart. He's like my brother. We do lunch every month, uh, Josh, Austin, and I, and it's because of that, because that's how much it has meant to us. But he went ahead and he did it. And let me tell you something. At times, the gaffer had to take the camera. All right, because obviously he's a director too. He's a great director. Because of that, in the very beginning of the film, I don't know if you notice the movement of the camera. Then when he reaches my character starts to break down. And I don't know if you notice, like there's a little, he tripped.
Oh
And
wow.
I said, "You're leaving that there." And he says, "But why you want to leave this here?" And I said, "Because what's happening right now with the movement, it's almost as if you're the one watching me. It's like you're an onlooker. You're a looky loo who happens to walk by and you're looking at me and you can't keep your eyes off me. That's what we want. And we want this in the whole film. And that's what we shot it. everything was thin. And again, it's not an easy task. It's very heavy.
Hmm.
But my DP, like I said, he saw through my eyes, and he knew that there was a meaning of that. I don't know if you remember where there is a small scene where right before I'm about to do this, there's a knock on the door. I don't know if you notice the camera follows. It almost
Oh
looks like
yeah,
the right? That was not planned, but that's how much he read me. And he goes like,
yeah,
"Oh, Mauricio, I think we're gonna have to do it again because I did this." And I said, "No, no, you are the looky loo that I'm talking about. You are that person." And the idea to that, and just so you know, it's Emma. All right, because remember, I mean, if I can explain now that the film is, and you say this is going to be the Q&A is going to be after. Uh, if you watch the whole thing where he talks about this accident and this little girl and how he felt like he had lost his family, that's what happens to a kid. As a kid, and this happened to me as a kid growing up, uh, I witnessed something, and to me, kids didn't die when I was a kid. Kids don't die, so that shocking thing stayed with me. And so, again, wanted to be a looky loo, but at the same time, this could be Emma, who's
hmm.
overseeing what her dad is about to do.
It's such a brilliant creative decision, and
Yeah,
it gives so much more impact to the
yeah,
project. We really, for the audience out there thinking about it, and I know, like I said, a lot of viewers picked it up too, and as
mhm,
I, definitely picked it up. I was like, this gives so much more of an impact.
yeah,
Imagine if there is an afterlife or someone watching out for us and they see the person that they possibly love the most in such deep grief,
yeah,
but none of their earthly issues matter anymore.
right,
And you just want them to be happy, you know, and you want them to move on with their life and be, happy and live their life
yeah,
because, that's what matters. And I think that hits home for the story as well,
hmm,
that you're spending all this energy and, negativity to make the pain go away. And the best thing is using it to do something positive. Um, Jumping on, I got so much. I got a few other questions I definitely want to ask, and
okay,
this is an important one.
hmm,
I guess the fun one is, what was your most memorable moment on set?
um, so you actually brought it up a little earlier, and obviously the whole day was very crazy because you have to be a director, you also have to be a character. So the fearness and responsibility that comes with it, and the fact that you don't want to mix one with the other, and on top of that, you don't want to be the individual that you are as a human being, makes three issues that are really hard to deal with. The one thing that I was looking forward to in this film that I knew was going to bring a little peace in me was slamming the door. That did it. I said I can't wait because I know that nobody knows why. You have to understand when you read something, it's really hard to put it together. But when I did it, and I saw everybody. As soon as we say cut, everybody started laughing, and I said, "See, this is it." Because everybody, I mean, there were people that read the script that were crying, and that's one of the reasons why, like like my editor's father, he read the script before, and he knew the film right away the minute he saw the final cut. So I was looking forward to that. To me, that was like that point where I said, "Whew, I think everything is going to be better."
Yeah.
Because now I got everybody with me, and it's not that I didn't have them, but it was that. Uh, the lunch obviously was like a great thing, breaking for lunch. The challenges, I don't know if you know, but well, maybe not, but we shot this film in 8 hours.
Wow. No, I would have
We had
never guessed.
Yeah,
No.
we had a 10-hour gap for Friday. Was it Thursday or Friday? I think it was Thursday, April 28th. There was a construction going on up the block, but they never came down this way. Well, that day, everybody decided to come and park the trucks over here for 2 hours running. And there's nothing we could do. Um, so obviously, you have a major responsibility. I don't want to do reshoots. I didn't want to do reshoots. I told my DP, I said, get ready, get that camera ready. I want you to call action. Give me a minute to prepare, and then you call action, and you're in charge. And I don't want you to say cut. until you see that I get out of character. And so that's another thing that I was able to rely on him, that he did an amazing job. I only did one take on everything I did.
Wow.
My scene partner, obviously, it's a different thing. I wanted to give him, as a director, and so we went ahead and we did what we had to do with him. But with me, that was another thing. I said I can't do more than one because this character wants to really. So we prepared a lot for days, him and I. So I want you to be able to lead your group, and I want you to be able to do things this way. And like I said, every single shot was planned ahead of time. I didn't do a storyboard, but I filled this guy's head with his story so much that when he came over here, he would just look at me and go like, "So we're gonna move on to what you?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what we're gonna do now."
See,
There were times,
that's wild. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm sorry to
yeah.
cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I mean, for those of a lot of people believe that's the typical of filmmaking that are on the outside. Like,
Yeah,
they believe that they're going to film a 15-minute scene in an hour
yeah,
or whatever. Like a whole like that's like a major accomplishment. But it just shows you how important preparing is
yeah,
before you get to the day of shoot.
yeah.
Organizing, preparing, communicating your ideas. No one's going to be able to read your mind. This is an interesting question because you said you did one take. Did you and your co-star, because you guys pretty much run this film together, majority, did you guys have rehearsals?
Nope.
Wow.
I'm gonna blow your mind away with this one too. I wanted to make sure that he read and he memorized everything. He had a month to do that. We did a table read, and when we did a table read, his wife works for Warner Brothers, and I wanted her there because I wanted a third person to be able to pick up on things. And as soon as I noticed that, she came up with a question that, the slamming the door and all that, and then also why are they looking at each other so much? And I said, well, it's a standoffish. As soon as that happened, and I noticed that both of them were comfortable, I said, I gotta go, and I left. And then we worked together. So I would always tell him, so you're memorizing, you're reading, just it was like, yeah, no, I'm reading it. But number one, number two, the reason why he got the job is because what he did that day, it's what I saw in him. So as a writer, I like to write around people. Like I'm looking at you right now. If I think of an idea, I write. It's not that I want you to go through any effort. It's going to be actually challenging for you to play who you are every day. And I think we talked about this before recording. We were like, oh, we're
Yeah.
going to have to. And to me, that's a challenge. A lot of people think that it's easier, but it's a challenge. From a director's point of view, to me, it's easier to communicate that to my people and not make them feel what I feel. He rehearsed. I mean, he read with her, and he did everything that he had to do. And I said, I will direct you on the day off.
Wow.
Don't worry about it. I, on the other hand, I'm not gonna say that I'm a lazy bee or nothing like that, but I can be a procrastinator when it comes to. And even though I wrote the film, I still wanted the film to remain fresh, the lines. So what I did is I read the script probably a total of 3 times. I'm not kidding you. And then what we did is, as the camera were getting ready, we would rehearse the scene.
Wow.
That's all we did. And he knew all his lines, but as soon as the camera was in front of him, he got very nervous. And I don't blame him. The man's never acted a day in his life. But let me tell you something. Because people would get frustrated. Why does he, at one point he was like, why does he say this? And I said, trust me, just say it. Just say it.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to, don't overcrowd yourself with thinking why this should make sense or it shouldn't, because it's not making sense to anybody here yet. Trust. And I mean, he did it, and the film is
Wow.
complete, and he was able to see the film, and he's blown away with the fact that he was able to do. And he thought that he was going to have issues, and I said, no, but this is what I need from you. You're an individual. You're doing someone else's job. You're here on behalf of your daughter. You know what I mean? And even though she's little, you got a major responsibility to make sure that this guy doesn't, rid of himself. And so that's what it took, but that's how I did it. And do I suggest that to anyone? No, don't do it. You know what I mean?
His public service announcement, what he's just announcing was a miracle in filmmaking.
Yes. I don't even know if I'll be able to do that ever again. So, and it worked. It worked. Everybody was blown away. My DP came back the next day because the bottle, the no pain bottle, we were not able to cover that on the day. There's a shot where you just see the bottle while I'm in the car. So he came
Yeah.
back the next day. We shot just that little bit, and we had to park up there. We're in the shade so that we could match what was going on in here. But yeah, that's what brought the film together. And again, I'm blown away. Candy Clark couldn't have said it any better. She said, she says it takes a miracle to do what you did in one day. She says,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything else. It took a miracle. You shot this film in one day. She goes like, I can't believe it.
It's an
But I know you killed
unbelievable task, but
it. Yeah,
it shows that it's doable. It
yeah,
shows that hard work pays off. And it's
yeah.
one of the things about the film festival that I hope that people gain from a film festival is the idea to get people motivated, to get
Mm,
people out there creating. That's one of the reasons why we have a 72-hour film festival,
right.
part of the competition this year,
Which I
is
would have
that,
loved to attend, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah,
we just
definitely.
want people creating this year. We want
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
creating art during the event.
yeah.
It's one thing to showcase amazing projects like yourself, but it's another to have a Q&A like this and let people know that I had an idea, I made it come to life, and we shot this masterful work
Yeah,
in one day.
yeah.
And that's crazy. Like, and with that said, with me talking about my intentions, what do you hope audiences will ultimately get out of the best gift in life is life itself?
The title, the
Wow.
the, whew, the title.
It's important, and
Yeah.
I guess sometimes we don't need to dig deeper than that. I mean, as a director, writer, producer, I know you got a lot of things planned, even for this production we talked about. What's next?
Um, so I have a total of 7 more scripts. Matter of fact, there's a script that it took 25 years in the making. Um,
Wow.
and now I have to revise it again because it's 130 pages. Um, and it's also very relatable. Everything I write has something to do with me, and it has something to do with my life. Pretty much everything I write is based on missing on missing my father. And so that script, I'm trying to get that one, fully uh, ready for it. And then I am going to raise money because I am going to shoot it. I need to
Hmm.
shoot it. I know, I'm not the writer's room. I am not the executive who's going to do anything, but I know the one little thing will allow me to do another. And with the micro budget, where you don't have to worry about much paperwork and all you need is a good team, I think that's going to work. But the very, very next, there are 2 projects that I could, because the thing about me is that I write in extremes. This, it's very deep. And then there's another one where I told you about the guy with 5 different personalities. That one is a sick, sick, sick story. And that's the one that my editor and my DP are dying to see. Or another one I wrote of this very flamboyant individual that I wrote in New York, and I'm still considering on revising and bringing it up, which is a dramedy. And
Yeah.
I'm very a little undecided, but I'm very excited on this 5 different personalities, because then it would take me from the drama to holy shit, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
it's something, yeah. And so, and I wrote that with a lot of my friends, actor friends in mind. I'm not gonna say names. I'll go asking. Uh, and no, because I know some of my friends are gonna be watching this, are gonna be like, dude, was it me that you? um, but because that's what I do. Like I said, I like to write based on the individual that I see, and then I write, you know, um, and that's the next. I think I'm almost sure that that's going to be the next one, and I'm going to get to work on it right away. Because another advice that my friend Candy gave me was, don't jump into the next project right away. Have fun with this, so that you can build the momentum, and then just you can always jump into the next one. She's like, trust me, money is not going to be a problem. I'll get you the money. Well, counting on you. Um, but yeah, but yeah. So that I think that that's going to be the next project, and but as of now, I'm going to enjoy this because I had no idea, and I'm being very honest with you, Charles. And again, I want to really thank you one more time because my film is going to screen in your film festival. I mean, at least in America, because in Europe we had screen already in a few, and we already won the accolade, and that's great and all that. But not because I'm talking to you right now, not because of the audience going to see this, but the fact that my film was accepted at your film festival, which is such an organized film festival, number one, and number two, because it's going to play at the Paramount, where my very first film, The Last Minutes, screened at. To me, that's a huge thing. So I really want to be able to enjoy that, and then obviously here in LA again on November
Wow.
4th, and then all the other festivals. But to me, that's like the most important thing. Oh my God, it's going to be in New York. That's where I'm from. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is what it all started.
It's interesting. It's so interesting that you brought that up too, about that being your first film. What got me into filmmaking, or my very first festival, was actually Hoboken as well. My very first film, The Factory, 10 years ago, premiered, and we were also up for audience choice. Who knows? Maybe you're the one who beat me. But
no, I didn't
we were
win.
nominated. Oh no, I didn't win either. I
Yeah,
don't know
but
what film.
we won't talk about that.
Yeah, so I was nominated one year too, but it was like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried for years after another film festival left to jump in that venue, and they just weren't ready at the time. A lot of things happen in the world, and now it's 10 years later. I'm looking back, and I'm like, I remember submitting to an event here,
Right.
and now we're running an event here, and we're associating with filmmakers all around the country, all around the state, all around the world. It's such an exciting time, I guess, to be alive, and the fact that even doing something like this is possible. I'm not rich, I'm not a wealthy man. It just shows you that doing stuff, if you're dedicated to do it and you're willing to put in the time and effort, you can make magical things happen. This film is proof of that. And I'm so thankful that you trust the Catskill International Film Festival with your project. And I've been saying it to filmmakers and other Q&As and, other people that have dealt with us. It takes a lot for someone to give their baby to us, because I've been to film festivals where I felt like I was put on the back burner.
Yeah.
Because there's a right and a wrong way to do things. Yes, we have a digital event, and a lot of films are screening digitally, but you have to give filmmakers the benefit of the doubt, promote them, interact with them, give them a chance, because that's what filmmaking is all about. It's got to be the networking opportunity. It's got to be the way. I felt like this has been a very informative, Q&A, and I think that the audiences will get wonders out of this conversation. I'm excited. So I'm going to leave you with one last thing.
Okay.
And it's just one word that sums it all up. And I know we tried before with, what you want from the audience, but one word that can define the best thing in life is life itself.
Self-love.
Very good.
Yep.
I want everyone out there, if you liked this film, go out and vote. Go to CatskillInternationalFilmFestival.com and vote for this project. The best gift in life is life itself. There's multiple award categories that you, the audience, are entirely in charge of. Yes, there's other film categories, but this year we have the most award categories that are created by the filmmakers or by the audience itself. So filmmakers from all over the world. I've said this so many times. Sometimes films lose by a vote, while others lose by an entire landslide. We had a few films last season and the year before that had thousands of votes for their project. You don't know who's watching, but I could tell you, depending on what country, they all have their hot times of when they like to turn on the TV, or the internet, I should say, which you could still turn on the TV. Right. But it's very exciting times. Thank you so much for this time.
And I just want to say one last thing. Whether win or lose, whether vote or not, I am just blessed to be a part of the film festival. That to me, that's it. I never thought we were going to get this far, and we have. So everything else is just a plus. So a great thanks to you and to the film festival, and really, really, really continue this journey because you are doing an amazing job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys vote, and I will see you at the closing ceremony, people.
And I will see you on the 20th.